Speaking of creatures that bite, we take you now to West Virginia. Safe to say, Doug Scaff will never forget his last election. He had been a member of the West Virginia House of Delegates, but recently decided to run for Secretary of State, but it was not to be. The citizens of West Virginia did not give Doug enough votes. So I think the election was just this past Tuesday. So this past Wednesday, one day after the votes had been counted, to his credit, Doug was riding through Boone County, West Virginia, with his 7-year-old son, picking up his old campaign signs. Mm-hmm. Not many do that, so I salute him for that.
Supposed to.
You get bonus points. Doug then told his story about what happened to him next from his hospital bed to WSAZ's Tim Err.
Bitten by 2 snakes.
Not once.
Not once.
Twice.
Twice.
I take 5 feet up into the hillside and grab one side of my side, and then boom, I just felt like I stepped on a barbed wire, and it penetrated through my shoe. I looked down, and there was a hole in my shoe. I didn't think anything of it. Then I went and grabbed the other side, kind of shook it off, like I must have stepped on something. And I went to the next side. I pulled the sign down. It hit me again. Another something sharp. I looked down. It was a copperhead snake. Had just bit me. And then a second one popped up and bit me a second time within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam.
That's right.
Copperhead.
2 copperheads, 2 bites in 5 seconds. Think he got near a nest? Is that what happened?
Do they have nests?
I don't know.
I assume.
It's not
I
the
don't
same.
know.
It wasn't the same snake.
No, he said
two
two different ones.
snakes. Yeah, both copperheads.
Yeah.
Wasn't mom and baby.
It's possible, I guess.
Who could say?
Yeah. Somebody told me, well, the reason, when we went over to our neighbor's house the other night and sat around their pool,
Nice.
they had a snake.
Bing!
Okay, right.
Light bulb over Kelly's head.
They had, earlier that day, they had a huge snake near the front. It was a rat snake near the front door because, of course, my wife was all worried and everything. And they said water moccasins are much more aggressive than copperheads. That water moccasins will come if you're in their area, they'll come get you. Whereas copperheads like to
They'll go away.
Yeah, unless you step near them or
They're
right next.
defensive biters?
Yeah, and I didn't know that. But the water, you want to be near. If you were 6 feet away from a copperhead, you'd probably never know it. If you're 6 feet away from a water moccasin, he's coming toward you.
Come get you.
Yeah, so they said. Interesting to me. I know.
This man in West Virginia, he's in the hospital. He's recovering. He said his son was not injured, which of course is good. And he said that the second one kind of looked at him for a second and said, I'm going to bite you.
Yeah. He sized him up. He said, that's it. Yeah.
Dang.
And then, once again, the reporter said,
Have you ever?
which was worse?
Oh, which was worse?
Losing the election or getting
Or-
bitten by a snake. He said snakes.
Yeah.
Elections come and go.
Yeah, he can try again on the election. The snake.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say which the first one or the second one.
Which one left a bigger mark?
Bigger mark. Yeah.
I mean, it hurts because you are picking up your signs after losing, and that happens.
Of course.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
does.
that's insult and injury.
An injury.
Man, what a week he's having.
Yeah, that's awful.
Better him than the kid.
Definitely.
Better him than me.
I need to correct something I said 2 years ago. I had a friend who got bitten by a copperhead 2 years ago, and I told this on the air. And he went out. He went out to take his garbage out, or he was going around to put garbage into the can on the side of the house. And it was near dusk, and a big copperhead bit him right on top of the foot. And I said that he was barefoot. But it turns out, and so people were saying, well, you shouldn't be barefoot outside at dusk in the summer. Well, it turns out he was wearing tennis shoes. And it reminded me of it because this politician said the hole went through my shoe. Went right through the top, like the tongue of his tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And bit him. I mean, I didn't even think that was possible.
Oh, I didn't think twice about it. I mean, unless you've got on boots of some sort.
Right.
They're going to bite through the fabric on your shoe.
That's surprising to me. That can they get that?
You don't think they crack a tooth on that?
Oh, sure. Well, they may crack a tooth, but
you're mountain man, but
yeah.
I would not have thought if I was wearing tennis shoes, running shoes.
Think your feet are okay?
I would think my foot would not be bitten. He felt a huge jolt of pain in the top of his foot, and that's exactly what it was. It was the fangs coming down
Now
to
you
the
go
top.
out in the woods. Mom always said, put on your boots, put on your brogans, and you get out there.
Brogans.
That's mountains. Heroin Scott, you're talking about snakes. Go ahead.
Okay, this was years ago. Me and my buddies used to go to this park in Ramseur and fish. There was a little dam right in behind the tennis courts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were out there fishing, smoking a little bit, and I ain't talking about cigarettes, and drinking a little bit, just having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, my buddy went to hand me the blunt, and I don't know if I dropped it or he dropped. One of us dropped it. It was the last one we had. So he starts crawling down the dam to go get it because I'm like, I'm not doing it. And all of a sudden, you see all these water moccasins swimming towards him, and they're embedded in the wall, striking at him.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Never saw him again. That's when he cleaned up.
All right.
That's the day we lost the blunt.
See you later.
Man, are you sure this wasn't laced with something?
The Raiders of the Lost Blunt.
That's a movie, man.
Oh,
It is.
man.
Cottonmouth.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's the start of a great movie.
Andrew, you're talking about the politician bit twice by two different copperheads. Go ahead.
I'd say to be pretty lucky for getting bit twice because we do spend a lot of time in the woods. And a few little fun facts about them copperheads is if you smell a sweet cucumber smell in an area walking through the middle of the woods, that's a sure sign one's close to you for sure. And also, if he got bit twice, he's pretty sure he got bit by an adult. Be able to penetrate that shoe.
Okay. Yeah.
Because the small ones don't carry, the length on their teeth quite yet. But the crazy part is about the babies. They have a little yellow end of their tail, and they do something called a venom dump when they bite you, and that means they don't control their venom and how much they put in you. So what they do is they pump all the venom out their body into you, and that's the deadly part right there.
That's worse.
Very common for adolescents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've said it. Thank you very much, Andrew. So I said that I compared that to young people having sex for the first time.
The Venom dump.
Yeah, you can't hold it. Like, oh. That's it. Remember that? I said that.
Yeah, and then she gets in trouble.
I love you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, once you've been having sex for a while, you're like, all right, I can control it a little bit.
That's right.
But when you first start, you're just like, oh, I'm done. And that's it. Everything. Early. That's it.
And what do you call young men like that? Daddy.
Right. That's like a young snake, a young copperhead dumps all his venom quickly and gone. The older snake control.
You think so?
I've
I don't know
always
if
heard
the older
that.
ones
Heard
control.
that.
I've always heard they
I
can
don't know
do
if
that.
herpetologists
did
would agree.
Yeah, do they have that much? I mean, do their brains work that well that they just?
Yeah.
I'm just going to put CC and a half in this guy.
Right. See, they're 51-year-old Dave Aiken. The young one is 18-year-old Dave Aiken.
Empty the chambers.
Exactly.
Well, sometimes there's not enough left in the tank.
Well, right. Oh, yeah, right.
There's
exactly.
that.
So they have to hold back a little
Hold
bit.
it back.
You never know when you have to bite another one. They know. That's what I've always heard. And I don't know if that's true, but that's what he said.
Stay out the weeds.
Yeah, well, yeah. And sweet cucumber smell.
That I've heard too.
Yeah.
Is
Never
that just
heard that.
copperheads?
I've heard that
What
about
do rattlesnakes smell like?
I don't know if they warn you.
Yeah, you can hear them.
Yeah. The gentleman
about
snake.
cottonmouth.
The gentleman snake. Cottonmouth, I don't think have a smell. But copperheads, I've always heard. I had heard like rotting paper or I guess sweet
I've heard
cucumber.
a sweet smell.
Sweet
Crazy.
smell. Mm-hmm. Something.
That's wild. Did you guys see? I know we watch a lot of golf, kind of off and on, the PGA Championship, and there was a shot going to commercial at one point.
Huge snake.
I thought it was fake.
I did
They
too.
showed this snake on one of the water features
I
that's
saw
out throughout the course.
Yeah.
I bet it was 6 feet long.
Huge.
And it was just sitting there still. And when it went to commercial, and when they came back, it was slithering.
Jeez.
Enormous.
You know what my wife said? We're never going to Kentucky.
That's what my wife
I mean,
said.
as soon as we saw it, she's like, "We're not going to Kentucky." I said, "But come on." I mean,
Bourbon Trail,
Right.
Churchill Downs,
She said, "No, we're
Louisville Slugger Factory.
We're out of Kentucky. It's not happening." Chris Demm referenced this. It's the guy, the politician, was out getting the signs out with his 7-year-old son, and someone said, "Well, thank goodness the boy didn't get bit," which is true, but. There was a gentleman in Australia who once his teenage son, was stung by a bunch of bees, and when being interviewed about it, had a different attitude.
Gary, for you to watch it must have been awful.
Yeah, it was a bit disturbing, but better him than me. You never like seeing your kids get hurt, but you can't wrap them up in cotton wool, so...
Gary.
Yeah, no, he was all right. He's a tough kid.
Said like a true Queensland dad.
Gary.
They're tough in Queensland.
Go to break. For God's sake.
They can't remember cotton wool.
Gary. Glenora talking about snake bites. Go ahead.
Hey.
Hey.
I love y'all. Y'all are number one in my book.
Thank you. Humble.
I got bit by a copperhead back in September. I was getting in my truck And yes, I had on flip-flops, but it was the most unbelievable pain.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was
You never
awful.
saw
I
it coming?
could not believe it.
Was it just like under your truck and didn't know you were there? You stepped near it?
Yes.
Yes.
I went to step up in my truck, and I was like, what is sharp?
Mm-hmm.
And the next second, I was jumped up, and I'm going to tell you, I peed all over myself.
Oh,
I bet.
Glenora.
Did you notice a sweet smell when you got into your truck?
No,
No.
my nose was way far away from that, but it got me on my toe.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Did you go to the
It
hospital?
was the best. I did. I went to the hospital screaming, I'm a country girl.
Mhm.
I ain't supposed to hurt this bad.
Yeah.
They give you a shot?
No, they laid me back and they talked to me about the anti-venom.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever heard, it's really expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $15,000 a vial. And I told the doctor that came in, I said, well, I think the snake bite's not going to hurt quite as long as that doctor bill. So,
So you toughed it out.
They talked it out of you.
I did. I
Yeah.
toughed it out. They come bringing me in a little pill, and I was like, just bring me a glass of wine and half a Xanax.
That's it. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's country living.
That's a country girl.
That's country girl right there. Dave, have you met Glenora? You need to. You two. Wow.
That's a country music song
What
right
is-
there.
It is.
Got her on the toe, and she said the bill would hurt longer than the snake
15
bite.
That's a
grand.
great line,
Thank
Glenora.
goodness she's- Glenora, good to hear from
What a
you.
fabulous debut.
Really appreciate you listening. Steve, you're talking about being bitten by a copperhead also. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Back several years ago, I was bitten. It was a baby. It was right up on my back neck steps.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, it kept me out of work for about a month. The
Really?
pain when it bit me felt like stepping on a lit cigarette.
Yeah.
The day afterwards, and let's say the month afterwards, was excruciating pain, swelling. My ankle was as big as my thigh.
Oh, my God. Oh, how awful. And did you, when you went to the doctor, did they talk about antivenin, or you didn't even go?
No, I went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, my wife carried the snake. I managed to behead the snake, and we carried it to the hospital and in a little flower pot. And they asked me what kind of snake it was, and I said it was a copperhead.
Here it is.
Oh, someone you could tell me.
Yeah, here it is. Right. Yeah.
So my wife throws it up there on the desk and says, "Yeah, here goes the snake." And the lady that was checking me in was pregnant, and I've never seen one of those rolling chairs roll back.
I bet. God, that's awful. So you just dealt with it and went through the pain, and after a month, it cleared up.
Well, I stayed out of work a month.
Yeah.
Went to the orthopedist, and it was just excruciating pain.
God, awful.
I bet.
Awful. Copperhead, normally not deadly, but terrible pain.
That pain.
Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it. Sounds like he's in the camp of the kids, worse than the adults.